Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today I thought it would be fun to sit down and film for you guys a palette bingo. I love doing palette bingos. It is something that really pushes me outside of my comfort zone. I tend to create looks that have 3, maybe 4 shadows that are typically laid down in the same way most times. So doing something like a palette bingo really forces me to put combinations together that I wouldn't have automatically thought of, and oftentimes in ways that I may not have considered otherwise. So I find them to be a lot of fun and I hope that you do as well. If you are new, welcome. I am so excited that you decided to click on my video. And if you have not yet subscribed, I hope that you will consider doing so. But let's go ahead and talk about the palette that I have chosen for today's palette bingo. I have from Juvia's Place the original Magic palette. So when I say the original, I mean the one with the granddaddy big old pans in there. Whoa, that was my Texan coming out. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. You guys don't hear that very often. So I wanted to sit down and play with this palette. This is a palette that is so good and does not get nearly enough love from me, so let's play with it. If this is your first time with a palette bingo and you're like, what are you talking about? Essentially what you're going to do is I have put into my Pretty Random app the variables 1 through 16, since there are 16 shades in this palette. I'm going to start by drawing, I think, 5 shades, and I have to build a look based on those shades. Depending on how things go, sometimes I throw in a 6th shade, but we'll see. We'll see how crazy I'm feeling. But that's also why I have all of my base makeup on already and just a little bit of light sort of structure to my face. And then once we figure out what the eye look is going to look like, then I can add the rest. So, and we'll talk about like the attire, the hair, the whole 9 yards, don't you worry. So let's go ahead and draw our first 5. So got the variables in here. So we're going to start with 11, 4, was that a 6 or an 8? That is a 6, 12, and the last one is the number 10. Okay, so let's go ahead and swatch all of those for you. Okay, so I have them all swatched on my hand right here. And I'll be very honest with you, I'm not feeling this color story. So this is what we have right here. It's a very strange combination. And one of them, so actually let's just talk about what all of these are. So the first one that we rolled was the number 11, which is this shade right here. It is called Vi, I think. I always put disclaimers out when I'm working with Juvia's Place palettes because I will probably butcher a pronunciation, and I mean literally absolutely no disrespect. I just don't know how to say things. So this is the number 11. Then we got the number 4, which is this cream colored matte right here, which is Kessie, I think. The number 12 is 8, 9, oh duh, is this shade right here on the end. This shade is called Yamoja, I hope. Then we got the number 10, which is this shade right here, which is Aja. So that is what we have here, and we have that cream colored matte in there. So I am definitely going to roll another one because that's a boring shade. Let's be very honest. That is a boring shade, and I don't know what to do with this. It's just going to be very dark, and that's not really what I'm wanting. So let's go ahead and see what happens when we put one more in there. 14. Okay, so 14 is Yara, this green shade right here. And I have to say, I'm still not 100% sure what I want to do because these are definitely not cohesive in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so that we can get started figuring out what we are going to do with this color story. All right, my friends, we are zoomed in. I've put primer on my lids already, and I'm just gonna go ahead and set that down with the fourth shade in the palette, which is Kessie. And I'm not gonna lie, I have been sitting here for quite a while at this point trying to figure out what it is I'm gonna do, because I'm just not sure. Like, I am just not sure, because these are just not shades that go very well together, and I just don't want it to come out incredibly dark either. Like, I'm afraid that it will. So we're just gonna hope for the best. I mean, that seems to be the motto of my life these days, is hope for the best. So let's go ahead and get that put down, and then we're probably gonna put the only other matte that I have here, which is called Nana. I don't think I mentioned that before. It is this shade right here. That is number 6. I'll go ahead and put that in the crease because I don't think there's anything else that I can do. Okay, so let's talk about the sad state of my appearance today. Because it's actually a pretty decent segue. I was planning today to talk about, give you guys kind of an update on my sleep training journey, because you guys have been so sweet and so supportive in the comments. Whenever I talk about my kids or, you know, just life in general, there are so many just fabulous suggestions and supportive comments, and it means literally the world to me. Thank you so, so much. So I did want to go ahead, kind of update you on where we were in that journey. And everything that I'm going to talk about as far as that journey is going to be said with the caveat that last night was awful. And it's the first truly awful night we've had in probably 3 weeks or so. So, I mean, it's not the worst, but it's still, anytime you have a setback, it's still frustrating. So last night, I woke up by myself at 3 in the morning, having some sort of really vivid dream. And I dreamt that one of the girls, I assume one of the girls, was crawling on the bed and about to fall off the other side. And so in my sort of lucid dream state, I reached out and grabbed my husband, which startled him awake, which I'm sure he did not appreciate. But he can fall asleep so much more easily than I can. If I wake up in the night, I'm awake for at least an hour, if not more. So it's very difficult for me to fall back asleep if I wake up or I'm woken up. So that was initially kind of setting the tone. But no, I take that back. The tone was actually set the night before because I struggled so hard to get the girls down to start with. But so I startled him awake, unfortunately. He fell back asleep. I did not. And sorry, just consulting my hand. So I was laying there for a good little while, and then around 3:30, one of the girls was awake, and not just a little bit awake where I know she's gonna fall back asleep, but standing up in the crib screaming and just not loving life. So I knew right away that I was gonna need to intervene. It's so funny because if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. You kind of get a feel for the way that they cry or they vocalize and things like that. Like, you kind of know what you're in for. And I just knew with her, the way that she was crying, it was not a I'm gonna get myself back to sleep sort of cry. And I was hoping that if I intervened, it would keep her from waking up the other one. So I went in, I actually got her and brought her back to my bed, which is not something I often do. This was really and honestly based on just how difficult it was to get them to sleep initially. It was just intended as a precautionary measure to hopefully salvage something. So laid with her in my bed, and we kind of slept on and off. Again, I was having a very difficult time falling asleep because it's me. But she sensed that, and so then she, of course, was much more wiggly than she is. Luckily, the one that woke up is the cuddlier of the two. One of my girls does not cuddle. She is very, very independent, has no interest in cuddling unless she's sick. Whereas the other one is definitely much more affectionate in that way. So I'm guessing she could just pick up on the fact that I was struggling. So that went on until about 4:45 when the other one, I guess, sensed that she was alone. I don't know, because she was awake and crying as well. So I got up, went in there, and we were just up for the day at that point. Gave them their morning bottles. So I have been awake since about 3. And I definitely look it. I am looking ragged. So when I decided, well, I'd already decided that I wanted to do a palette bingo today anyway, but I was like, you know what, we're going to start with the makeup on because I need a lot of concealer. Because, oof, it is not looking good under there. And of course, I've got some additional friends hanging out saying, you know what? We like you. I don't, but... So that has been my morning. The girls are down for their first nap and they fell asleep very quickly, thank goodness, because, you know, they'd already been up for quite a while. So that has been my night and why I'm still in my pajamas that say Nightmare Before Coffee seemed super appropriate. By the way, coffee, I've had a ton of it. So that is where I am this morning and why I'm looking just such a ragged mess. My hair is clearly not done, not going to be done. You know what, we should start kind of like, I don't know, a betting pool as to how many videos is going to pass before Ashley gets it together and does her hair. That seems like a fun little strategy. But yes, so let's talk all about their sleep training journey to this point. So when I had talked to you guys about it before, it was not good. We were doing kind of a modified, what's it called? Extinction, where I was leaving them and then popping back in and leaving them and popping back in, and it was not working. It was not working. So actually that night after I had filmed the video, I know you guys saw it a couple of days later, but I gave up on that method entirely because it was just too stressful. It seemed like it was too stressful for them. It was absolutely too stressful for me. So it did not continue. What I started doing was kind of a variation of what I'd actually already been doing. The way that I had been getting them to sleep prior to this point was both of their cribs are against the same wall with a little shelf in between. And so I was sitting in between the two cribs rather, and I had one arm in each crib because they wanted to hold my hands. And that's how we had been going to sleep for a long time because it was just, for me, the easiest way to give them the physical contact that they were looking for at the same time. Because that is the challenge, my friends, especially now that they're a little bit older and they're far more independent and able to really determine what they want. They wanted that physical contact. And so the problem that I was finding is that it was taking forever for them to go to sleep, especially one of them. She just tosses and turns like no other. The other one wanted to just like lay on my hand the whole time. She would fall asleep fairly easily. She would cuddle with my hand, lay on top of it, and fall asleep pretty easily. The other one didn't know what she wanted. She wanted my hand in there, but she didn't know where she wanted it or what she wanted it doing. And so it was a struggle. And I would be in there for 45 minutes, an hour, sometimes more, just trying to coax them to sleep. And it just wasn't going to work long term, especially since my son was waiting for me to finish with them so that I could put him to bed. So it was not something that could be maintained. And so what I started doing was, instead of sitting in between their cribs with my hands in their cribs, giving them that physical contact, is I started just kind of laying down in front of their crib so that they could still see me. I was still there, but they were hopefully getting a little bit more of that independence when falling asleep. That was at least my thought process. So I did that, and then I've been gradually just like starting out closer to the door as they become more and more comfortable with kind of where I am as far as my presence. So that's what we had been doing. And guys, this was the wrong palette to have done my face makeup first. We're gonna have a lot of cleanup to do, but that had been working. I mean, it's comparative, right? So when I say it had been working, I was able to leave the room within usually the first 15 to 20 minutes of them being in their cribs, which in comparison was really great because, like I said before, it was, regularly 45 minutes to an hour. So that had been working really well until last night, when it was just, they were not having any of it. And I think, to be honest, I think they're teething. I know one of them has gotten two of her upper molars have broken through the skin. So I have a feeling that is what was going on, but they were not having it at all. What are we gonna do? So this is what we have so far. I'll be very honest, I don't love it. I don't love it at all. What we did, because I was talking through it, is we took this orange shade right here, which is called Nana, put that up in the crease. Then I took this shade right here, which is Vi, put it on kind of the outer and the inner portions, and then took Aja, which is this much darker shade, and tried to deepen up that outer and inner, halo eye style. And then I took this shade right here, which is Yara, and put it in the center. But I'll be honest, it all kind of just has muddied together, and I am not loving it. So now that I'm saying that out loud, let's take this really, really bright silver shade, which is Yamoja, and just tap it over the top and see what happens. We'll lose any of that green, but I feel like the green isn't really showing anyway. So, I mean, we can't make it worse, can we? Probably. I don't know. But I feel like that might kind of tie the colors together a little bit. I don't know. Can you even see a difference? I'm not sure that I can. But that is where we are in those regards. Yikes, my under eyes. I'm just gonna have to take off all of my under eye makeup and put it back on. That's gonna be a hot mess. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off camera and see what I can do to fix this mess of an eyeshadow, and then we'll come back for the lower lash line. All right, so we are back, and it's looking better. It's looking better. So I was actually able to, as I said, wiped everything away, and then I went back in with a little bit of my potted Bye Bye under eye. I don't even know if It Cosmetics makes this anymore, but it is their Bye Bye under eye corrector in light, the potted version. I went with this because it's a little bit of a drier formula. And then I actually went over top of it with this baby right here. This is the Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation in a powder. And I think it did the trick. I mean, it doesn't look perfect, but I think it looks much, much better than it did. And then I just added some additional complexion products, added a little bit of black eyeliner, and we're looking a little bit better. Definitely a bigger look than I had intended, but looking a little bit better. And I've been kind of thinking about it, mulling it over in my brain. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the halo eye. I'm going to take a little bit of Nana, put it on the inner and the outer, and then just, I think just Yara, the greener one, in the center. I'm not going to go in with the deeper shades in the outer corners because I have a feeling I would just make a mess of myself. And we've already done that once. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Obviously, if it doesn't, you know, look the way I want it, then we'll adjust as we need to. But I always struggle so much with what to do with my under eyes because I watch other people do theirs and I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. And then on me, I just very rarely feel like it looks as good as other people do. So we're just gonna build very slowly and very gently, the inner and the outer, and then try from there. I am gonna put on some black eyeliner though, because I feel like that also helps to hide less than perfect under eye work. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I was in high school in the 90s. So I am very familiar with the 90s look. Not super thrilled that it's coming back in because crushed velvet and bodysuits didn't suit me then and they don't suit me now. But I will say, smudged out lower lash line black eyeliner, that I can get back on board with because I mean, when done right, it can really hide a myriad of issues, I feel like. So we'll embrace that part of the trend. Maybe a little bit more. But yeah, so, I mean, parenting, of course, is a work in progress at all times. Just when you think you've got something handled, something else jumps up out at you to have to handle as well. So, I mean, I get that, but I feel like we're making some progress in the sleep training department with the girls, but, you know, time will tell. I really do feel like because of the teething that is an added bit of stress that is causing some of the backslide, but now there it is. I was gonna say, I had pulled out a brush trying to be, you know, on top of it, but I do feel much better about it than I did when I filmed that video before because honestly, I was at the end of my rope when I filmed that last video because I was so stressed out by it. I was so stressed out by it. And if I was stressed out by it, they were definitely stressed out by it because, you know, we all feed off of each other's positive and negative emotions. And so I'm sure that did not help things. So I am very glad to hear or to see that there is hopefully a light at the end of the tunnel. I hope. Okay, with the pencil brush, this green is, or not pencil, but with this flat brush, the green is looking a lot nicer than it did packed on my lid. So that's nice. I like that. Okay, so that is what we're looking like. I'm gonna put on the, nope, not that eyeliner, that's the liquid, the pencil eyeliner here, and then see what the lower lash line looks like to see if it gets lost or hidden. And then we'll go from there. I am definitely trying to do some different sort of styles and looks. I put a fox eye on my Instagram. I did not love the way that it came out, to be honest, but I was pretty proud of myself for trying. There we go. Let's see. Let's go back with my little smudgy brush, take a little bit more of Nana, kind of smudge that out just a little bit. I think that does get just a little bit lost. Build up that intensity just a little bit. Okay, so the very last thing that I'm gonna do before I hop back off camera and apply mascara, because I know full well you guys do not want to see me do that. I'm gonna take Umoja again. Just use that on the inner corner. That probably takes a little bit away from the halo aspect, but I feel like I just need that brightness personally. And wow, that's kind of stark. It makes my eyes look cross-eyed. Holy moly. I'm gonna take a little bit of Yara and tap that right on top to take away a little bit of that intensity. Probably not a look that I'm going to recreate or that I would have done otherwise, but the irony is, at the beginning of this video, I said that is what I love about palette bingos, is that it makes me do things that I wouldn't do ordinarily. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. Okay, so last time, gonna jump off camera, apply some mascara, put on some real clothes, and then we'll come back for the final look. All right, so this is what we landed with. Obviously the hair was never gonna be done, let's be honest, but I think that I don't hate it. I know that that's not exactly a ringing endorsement, but from a distance with mascara and eyeliner, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. So would I do it again? Probably not, but I can wear it throughout the rest of the day, and that's good enough for me. Is it good enough for you? Let me know what you would have done with this color combination right here, because it's something. I would love to hear your thoughts. I always love to hear from you guys in the comment section. Everything that I am wearing on my face is going to be linked in the description box below, so make sure to check it out if you're curious. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you're having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye.